What are the expectations for the upcoming Africa trip?
Well, first of all, this will be the Secretary's third trip to Africa since I became Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, so I'm very excited about this trip. He will be visiting, as you know, Kenya and Djibouti, and the primary purpose for both of the stops is to reaffirm our very strong bilateral relations with these governments, but also to discuss issues of mutual concern. In particular, in Djibouti, we want to thank the Djiboutian government for their welcome to our military operations out of Djibouti and Camp Lemonnier, but also on their support for assisting with the evacuations out of Yemen.
Is there a need to reassess the U.S. counterterrorism strategy in reference to Al-Shabab because of the group's increasing number of attacks outside of Somalia? And then also, should the U.S. be playing more of an overt role in terms of deploying a larger presence to the region?
Well, first of all, we're always reassessing our approach to ensure that we have the right approach, and I think we believe that Al-Shabaab is really on the defensive more than on the offensive because of the successes that we, with the African Union, to include Kenyan troops, the successes that we've had in pushing Al-Shabaab back in Somalia. Their efforts in Kenya and in other countries outside of Somalia shows the desperation, and they are constantly looking for weak areas. And we will continue to work with the Kenyan government and other governments in the region to ensure that we assist them in fighting Al-Shabaab wherever Al-Shabaab appears.
Kenyan officials in particular, some have raised concerns that Al-Shabaab may be using the refugee camp in Kenya's north as a staging ground to launch attacks. First of all, what is your reaction to that? And secondly, does the U.S. believe that the security concern is significant enough where maybe it's time to reconsider whether those refugees should remain at that site or if those Somali refugees should be relocated? This
is an issue that has come around several times in my career. As you know, I served as the refugee coordinator in Kenya back in the mid-1990s, and during that period, refugees were blamed for issues that occurred in Kenya, and refugees are sometimes blamed for issues that occur in other countries related to security. Refugees are victims. They are victims of Al-Shabaab, just like other people are victims of Al-Shabaab. I do not believe that the camp is a source of Al-Shabaab, but I certainly think we need to do everything possible to protect those refugees who are in those camps from any influence or any threats being made by Al-Shabaab.